Hello, everyone. It's me, your teacher, Miss Raven, and today I'm going to do the lesson for you, adding and subtracting mixed numbers. We did adding and subtracting fractions last class, and now we are going to look at specifically mixed numbers. So let's do a warm-up, a reminder of last class. So let's put 5 minutes on the clock. I want you to pause this video in 5 minutes, play the video, and you're going to see the solution. Okay, if you're back, that means you tried the question and 5 minutes has passed. So let's get started with our solution. So the first thing we are going to want to do is put our fractions over a common denominator when we are adding them together. So I am looking at my denominators and I'm trying to think if I can put them over the same number or multiply them by something to make them be the same number. So I am looking at this number and I know that 2 is a factor of 12 because 12 ends in 2. It is a pair. So I can just multiply this by 6 and that is going to give me a fraction that is over 12. So let's try that. I'm multiplying by 6 on the bottom, multiplying by 6 on the top because whatever you do to the numerator, you have to do to the denominator, and vice versa. So same thing that we are going to do to them. And this one, I do not have to do anything to because it's already over 12. That is going to be my common denominator. So I can proceed now. So 5 times 6 is going to be 30, and then 2 times 6 is going to be 12. And then I rewrite the rest of my equation, and I can solve by adding together 30 and 13, which will give me 43, and I keep my denominator the same. Next, I want to put it as a mixed fraction because this question tells me to do that, so I am going to do that. And to put it into a mixed fraction, if you remember, I am trying to figure out what is the biggest multiple of 12 I can fit into 43. So the biggest multiple of 12 I can fit into 43 is going to be 12 times 3, which is going to be 36. So I'm going to separate this 43 into 36 and 7. And because I can do that, I am going to now have my fraction as 3 and 7 over 12. That is going to be my final answer. If you need to review how to convert numbers into or improper fractions into mixed fractions or mixed fractions into improper fractions, come see me at Flex and I can show you how, or you can ask the substitute or maybe a fellow peer in your class. Okay, next we are going to proceed with this one. So this is a mixed number and we want to add them together. So the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to turn them into an improper fraction and then I'm going to solve it. You can actually put them over a common denominator before you convert it to an improper fraction. So you can do it that way, or you can do it the opposite way, where you put them into an improper fraction and then you put it over the common denominator. Either way works. They're both correct. So today I'm going to be converting them or putting them over the common denominator before I put them as an improper fraction. So let's do that. My common denominator is going to be 4. So I am going to multiply the numerator and the denominator of this fraction by 2. And now I'm going to have 5 and 2 over 4. And I can leave this fraction the way that it is because it's over my common denominator. I rewrite it, and that is going to give me a nice number. So now I want to convert it to an improper fraction. So the way that I'm going to do that is I take the whole number, I times it by the denominator, and then I add the fraction that's left. So 5 times 4 plus 2, and we keep it over the same denominator. Same with this number. 2 times 4 plus 1 over 4. And that is going to give me 22 over 4 minus 9 over 4. And then I can solve the fraction operation. So that is going to give me 13 over 4, which I then will convert into a mixed number because this question did tell me to do that. So I'm going to do that. I ask myself how many groups of 4 can fit into 13, and the answer is 3, and then you have one remainder. That is your final answer. Okay, next we are going to show you two different ways to add mixed numbers. So I just did the first way. The first way is to convert into an improper fraction first. The next way, we are going to add together the whole numbers, and then we are going to solve from there. So two different ways to do it. Let's see which one we like better. Okay, so for this first one, I'm going to rewrite my equation here. So 7 and 5/12 plus 4 and 3/10. I am going to put it over or put it as an improper fraction first. So I'm going to multiply the 7 times 12, and I'm going to add the 5. So 7 times 12 plus 5 over 12. I keep the denominator. And then same thing with this one. 4 times 10 plus 3 over 10. Once I solve that, I am going to get 89 over 12 plus 43 over 10. This is a lot to do in your head. I do not expect you to be able to do actually, you could probably do this, but I won't give you like a super hard question like this on the test. But it is fun for a fun little challenge and also to show you how sometimes one way can be easier than the other way. So this is going to get a lot bigger here pretty quickly because we are going to be putting it over a common denominator. So the lowest common denominator of 12 and 10 is going to be 60, which is pretty big. So we're going to do a lot of multiplication here. So here I am going to be multiplying 12 by 5 to make it over 60. Do the same thing to the numerator. And that is going to give me 445 over 60. And then for this one, I'm multiplying by 6 to make it be over 60. And that is going to give me 258 over 60. Oh my goodness, that is a big number. Let's add those two together here really quickly. I'm going to set it up on the side here. So 5 times 8 is 13. I carry the 1. This is all going to give me 10. I carry the 1. And then that is going to give me 7. So I have a full big number here. So that's going to give me 703 over 60. Wow, that is so crazy. That is very nutso. Okay, how am I going to figure out what my biggest group of 60 is to fit into this? That is a big number. So what you can actually do is you can do 703 divided by 60 on your calculator, and that is going to give me 11.71. So I know that 11 is the biggest whole number. So 11 times 60 is going to be 660. So this is the biggest number that I can fit into here and make whole numbers out of. That being said, that's a lot of work. I'm just going to tell you right now, it is 11 and 43 over 60. All right, so that was a process and a half. So let's see what the other method looks like, and maybe that one's going to be a little bit easier for us to do. So next we're going to add the wholes and then add the fractions together. So when you do this method, you do have to find the lowest common denominator as your first step. And for us, the lowest common denominator, we already figured it out on the last page, is going to be 60. So that's the lowest one for 12 and 10. That's a pretty big one. So let's put our numbers over their lowest common denominator, put our fractions over that. So I'm going to be doing the same thing as I did in the first one. So multiply by 5 up here, multiply by 5 up here. So we have our fraction be over 60. And then we are going to have this number be times 6 on the numerator and the denominator so that we have a number over 60, and that is going to give us 18 over 60. Okay, so now we have everything over a common denominator and we're ready to add all of this together. So first, I'm going to add together my wholes. So my whole numbers are 7 and 4. So I can add that together. 7 plus 4 is equal to 11. And then I can add together my fraction parts. So I'm going to add here on the side 25. Oh no, the light's turned off. 25 over 60 plus 18 over 60. And that is going to give me 43 over 60. So I'm going to be putting this with this. Again, these are my fractions. These are my whole numbers. So I added together the whole numbers, added together the fractions, and then I add my results together. So that is going to give me 11 and 43 out of 60. That was a lot cleaner of an answer. I'm going to let you finish copying things down and I'm going to get the lights back on and then we will go to the next page. All right, let's go to the next page. So let's do another example here. Okay, we've got 3 and 5/8 plus 6 and 3/4. And we want to first and foremost find a common denominator. We're looking at our denominators here, 8 and 4. And our common denominator is going to be 8. It's actually going to be your lowest common denominator because you cannot divide this 3 up anymore. So you cannot divide this fraction up anymore. And we can actually just multiply this fraction by 2 because 4 is a factor of 8. So let's right away put this over 8. I times by 2, I times by 2. That's going to give me 3 and 5/8 plus 6 and 6/8. Amazing. Then I'm doing my next step here, adding together the whole number portion, adding together the 3 and the 6. That is going to give me 9. And then I'm going to add together my fraction portion. That is going to give me 11 over 8 for my fraction portion. So because this is an improper fraction, we actually have to convert it to a mixed number before we add it to our 9. So let's do that. What's the biggest factor of, what's the biggest multiple of 8 that I can fit into 11? I can just fit it one time into 11. So 1, and then 11 minus 8 is 3 over 8. And that is going to be what I'm adding to my equation here. I'm going to highlight so you know where all the numbers are coming from. And then when I add this together, I've got 10 and 3/8. And that is going to be my final answer because I'm done. I regrouped them. Next, let's do example number 3. So here they're going to give us some values of spices and they want us to add all this together. So this is an addition question. I've got 2/3 plus 5/6 plus 1 and 5 over 12. And I am going to complete that addition. So now we have 3 fractions in play here. That's a little bit trickier, but we're still going to do it the same way. We're going to put them over a common denominator. Looking at my denominators, I can see that my lowest common denominator is going to be 12 because here is 12, this is a factor of 12, and this is a factor of 12. So let's start by putting that all over 12. So I'm going to times by 4 here to put this over 12. I'm going to times by 2 here to put this over 12. And then I'm going to times by nothing because it's already over 12. And then I'm going to do the next step, which is adding together all of my whole numbers. I only have one whole number here, so I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to add together all of my fractions. So 8 plus 10 plus 5 is going to be equal to 23 over 12. And then I want to convert it to a mixed number, which is going to be if I take out one group of 12 and then I have 11 over 12. This is going to be my full answer. Maybe I'll get a big highlighter here. I'm going to add that right back here. When I add these together, it is going to give me 2 and 11 over 12, which is my final answer. Okay, that was adding. Now let's try a couple with subtracting. So when we are subtracting mixed numbers, it is going to be the same thing. We are going to find a common denominator. So we're looking at 8 and 16. Our lowest common denominator is equal to 16 because 8 is a factor of 16. So I'm going to multiply this fraction by 2 on the top and the bottom so that I have it over 16. So I have this here. And I'm going to rewrite the rest of my equation. Next, I'm going to be subtracting the whole number portion. So I'm subtracting 5 from 7. So that is going to give me 2. Then I'm going to subtract my fraction portion. So 6 over 16. If I take it away from 10 over 16, that is going to give me 4 over 16 right here. Oh my gosh, that was not too bad, was it? And then I have to reduce it to the lowest terms. So I can reduce this. 4 is a factor of 16, so I can reduce both by 4. So I divide by 4 on top, divide by 4 on the bottom, and my new number is 2 and 1 over 4. And this is my final answer. We've got one more page here to do. Oh my gosh, this is so much. Okay, one more page here to do. Subtract by regrouping. We're going to do regrouping here today. So if after finding a common denominator, the numerator of the first fraction is smaller than the denominator of the second fraction, you have to borrow. This is going to be a process. So what that looks like here is if I am subtracting, if I'm subtracting 2 and it is bigger than 1, I actually have to take a whole number out of this. So I am going to add 4 because 4 over 4 is 1 whole. I'm adding that 1 whole to here so that I have more on the top. So it's kind of like converting it to an improper fraction, except I'm not taking all of the mixed number. I'm just taking 1 unit of the mixed number. So that is now going to give me 1 and 5 over 4. And then I'm going to subtract my 2 over 4. And that is going to give me 1 and 3 over 4. So now I can actually complete the subtraction. Let's try that one more time. So from here, From here, we are going to look, our numerator of our second fraction is bigger than our first one, so we are going to borrow from the 6 here. So I'm going to add 6 to the numerator, and this is going to turn into a 5. So now I'm going to have 5 and 7 over 6, and I'm rewriting the rest of my equation. So then I'm going to be adding or subtracting my two numerators from each other. So 5 minus 2 is going to be equal to 3. And then I'm going to now subtract my second fraction from my first one. So that is going to give me 7 minus 5 is 2 over 6. So this is my final answer. Actually, I have to reduce it. So I can reduce this into 1 over 3. So divide by 2, divide by 2. And now my final answer is 1 or 3 and 1 over 3. Beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, fantastic. Why don't you try this one by yourselves? Maybe 2 minutes on the clock. Pause this video. Come back when you're done. Okay, we're back here to look at this again. So if you did, taking out this one, I'm going to add 4 here to the top because the 5 is greater than the 3. Then I am going to have 1 and nope, I took out the 1. This is 0 now. I'm going to have 7 over 4, and then I'm minusing 5 over 6. So I actually have to put this over a common denominator now. So if you did that, you're a genius. So now I'm going to times this by 3 times by 3 because my lowest common denominator is 12. And then times this by 2 times this by 2. That's going to give us 21 over 12. And then that is going to be 10 over 12. And then I can successfully finish this one right here. So this is my final answer. So I bet you're wondering why borrowing works. So if you're confused about that, let's take a look at the math here. So why does borrowing work? If I have 2 and 1 over 4, that is going to equal 4 over 4 plus 4 over 4 because these are the two wholes. And then I'm going to have the portion. So what this looks like is 2 entire pies and then 1/4 of a pie. So 2 entire pies and 1/4 of a pie. Same with this. 4 over 4 is 4 slices of pie over in a pie that's cut up into 4 slices. So this here, and then this is going to be the 1 over 4 here. So this is the same thing. We're just going to take part of it here, and then we're going to leave this as a whole. That's just what we did. So this is going to be equal to 1 and 5 over 4 because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of pie cut up into 4 slices, and then we've got the 1 pie over here. So go on, do your practice. I hope that it all works out. I'll be back next class so you can ask me any questions if you need it. Okay, thanks. Bye.